Yeah, welcome to Focus Fight for Life podcast.
What up? What up?
With Michael VanBeek.
Hey, guys.
And we take real life incidents from real places that we find in the news, in police reports. We break them down, we dissect them, we see what we can learn, we see what we can do with them so that we can grow, so we can get better, and so you can too.
Yeah,
and
this really is right. This really is.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna have some fun along the way. So, yeah, let's get rolling right away, man. So we got this carjacking thing. I picked out carjacking for this week. We got this carjacking gig happened in, small town, USA, anywhere, any town. So this guy was on some trip, right? And he hit some dude square, blows a stop sign, hits a guy, then takes off. Hits a 17-year-old kid, then takes off. They find his car. He ditched his car because it was smoking in some hospital place, right? Clinic. Bails, and then I want to read what it says here. Yeah. After exiting the smoking car, this dude allegedly tried to hijack 3 other vehicles, committing multiple aggravated batteries in the process. He punched multiple people out, shoved multiple people, and after 3 unsuccessful tries, he then successfully hijacked a vehicle that had entered a parking lot, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, told the driver to start driving, and it turned into a huge thing. He got caught, though. He's in trouble.
So he got into a car. So he tries different ones. It doesn't work. And then when he does, it does work, right?
Right. But the process by which that happens. So let's just take a look at that for a second. Hey, man, just to be involved in that scenery, just for a second. So let's understand that there are a particular group of people maybe watching this or not that are into that already. That are their fortune, like these guys who generally, I don't know, weekend warrior guys, nightclub guys who kind of visualize this stuff happening in a terrorist scenario.
Right. Then there's regular people who have a car gun, right? Yeah.
Then there's regular people, right? Regular people. So to a regular person, this is quite traumatizing to be a part of it, or even to see it or witness it.
Right.
If you're becoming numb to stuff like this, it means you've been in and around this stuff. Maybe you live in a city, right? A very densely populated area. This happened in a small town, however, and the dude just went on a rampage, right? And so looking at that, you have to understand first and foremost that I think that everybody should look at is that that's an emotional issue. That's a thing that's going to happen to somebody. So you always have to really, honor those emotions, right? And give them some weight and say, wow, that's a really in that moment kind of thing. Very sobering.
So what do you mean it's emotional? Emotional
for everybody.
For everybody. For the attacker, for all of it, right? Carjacking.
Yeah. Even when you do it all the time, it's still a rush. It's just either really scary or just a huge rush. There's an adrenaline thing that happens. It's never like the movies where you're just going to do this calm demeanor. And so we have to understand, before we even look at training and ways to prepare for something like this or the inevitability of it, you have to look at first the emotion, because that's the one thing that you already have and don't need to train. You need to be honest.
And I want to mention for listeners who don't know, in a past life, Michael has been on that side, the other side of the fence.
Other side. The grass is
the other side of the fence from the goods. I don't know. Did you ever do anything like this, or were you ever involved in anything like this? Personally, you don't have to do anything that's going to incriminate you. I don't know what statutes of limitations are. So maybe you could say.
So there's a big light. I'm going to lean down on the microphone.
Had I possibly done something like this?
Yeah. So absolutely. No, look, this is, and where I was at in my life on the streets, yes, this is not a new thing, right? This is a new bit, taking someone's stuff. The cause here is different, though, and I think it's yes, I've done it, right? So there's an old street hustle where you would use call girls, people of the night, prostitutes, hookers, whatever, right? So these girls go, once you see that guy's head go back, that's your cue to open up that door and say, hey, what are you doing with my wife? Give me your money. And it's not like they're calling the police, right? And you usually tried to make sure they were married anyway. And so, or take whatever they had. And so, but in this situation, he wrecks his car. Now, you don't know from the story if the wreck or him blowing the stop sign was a result of something that happened, him fleeing or something or whatever.
Yeah.
But he hit that car. Now, why do you think he ran to hijack other cars? Why do you think he took off?
He's desperate to get out of there for whatever reason.
So what's the right? So he's what? He probably has a warrant, right?
Yeah.
Probably has a warrant.
Has a warrant, yep. Yep.
So he's fighting from a point of emotional survival. He went to 3 cars trying to get out. So he either just did something, which is what caused him to blow the stop sign, freak out, right? Ditch the car he was in, go to 3 other cars until he successfully, right? So there's a desperate man. So I think now that you've looked at the emotion, you have to ask yourself, do I give the guy the car? Or do I risk my life?
Mm-hmm. And it said he implied he had a weapon. I don't think he did. It doesn't say.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say.
But he implied he did when he comes.
Yeah. When he finally got the car later, the lady said he had a weapon. Yeah. But what he had done in the process of trying to take over those 3 cars prior, he had hit people. A lot of people got knocked out, shoved. I think he was just grabbing people, hitting him, and throwing him out of the car.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a video of it and reading the description, that's what it would look like to me. Right. And then went to somewhere who didn't see him suspecting or, So, yeah.
So it's like he's first using direct violence, right? Right off the bat, it seems like. At first it's direct violence, and then the last one is kind of manipulation. He's manipulating with the threat of a weapon.
Yeah, so some people held him off of taking their stuff, but it obviously cost them their consciousness and maybe something later. It says that all the people recovered.
Sure.
But so let's talk about that in terms of, I mean, you could see it happening in your head, right? The guy blows the stop sign, boom, crashes his car, takes off. His car's parked around the corner. He gets out and starts trying to obfuscate all these vehicles. So what does that look like? That means you're in driver's position. So positional dynamic is clinical here.
Yeah.
You have to train from this, which means what, man? You're behind the fucking power curve hard.
Yep.
Hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Coming at you this way or this way.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you were to bus a train or some place where you were sitting and somebody was standing, you still have some sense of lateral mobility or standing. You have nothing here, even in the seats recliner go slow, so you can't even go backwards. But yeah, man, so you the positional dynamic of that puts you hard behind the power curve. So what do you think? What would be your first move, knowing that I'm emotionally distressed? This dude's trying to take me. Maybe my kid is buckled in the baby seat in the back.
Right. Absolutely.
There's the weight. Now that decision about has been made for you. Now you ain't getting this car.
Yep.
You're gonna let me take my kid, and that guy's not letting. He's in a hurry. He's not letting you get your kid out of the car. So it means that you have to do what? What do you think that looks like now? Building upon the accidents you've seen, dude pops open your car, hits you. Now it's on. Now what?
Yeah. So it does depend on if I'm with somebody's in the car. There's no way I'm going to let them take the car.
Right.
If I spill out, if he opens the door, I spill out.
Let me ask you a question. One of the things I like to always consider is the weight of having to make one decision or another. This is why really good training has a streamlined process. That is only minimally moved, right? And so if I have to make a decision at that moment, considering the emotional input or the pouring of adrenaline that's happening at that moment, to try to assess the level of severity and the level of threat that is now being placed on me, and when I think you should act accordingly the same way.
So you're saying like there's a reaction time we have, and decision making might take up so much of that reaction time. Yeah,
it's called Hicks' Law, right? Hicks' Law says, they use it in law enforcement, is every time that you introduce another variable, in other words, if you introduce a weapon, a staff, or another thing on a cop's belt prior to the gun, that variable on whether that person has breached that gap and then response time to change to according and appropriation, it's called Hicks' Law. So you're going to be behind the curve in terms of response time.
So my ability.
Options. So what I'm saying is, give yourself one option. Don't let them take your car, or let them take your car.
That's good. So my ability to assess with all the variables that might be there. People in the car, not people in the car. Does he have weapons? That's not. I don't have the ability to assess that and react in a way that's effective.
At that moment, you sure don't. You sure don't. And I think that's one of the things.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that's really missed by a huge number of people. Right, is that level of stress, which is why a good system that streamlines that and keeps that minimal, then introduces various stress levels. right? And so what you do is you want to make sure that whatever is happening in your training, that you start out with a simple process and that you add different stresses.
And so you want the fewest options possible training, right? I just want to reiterate that one. Fewest options, maybe one option if possible, but just take the decision making. Here's my response. I don't have to choose.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're not doing a wide and narrow, shallow type of training. It's a deep.
Right. If you have to wait, it's like people who trap and they're waiting to see if the hand goes here or if it goes here, if it goes here. You think in the time this guy puts his hands up that you're going to grab that hand and determine whether you should roll this way or double.
Yeah, right.
So it's better to have the same situation. The guy probably won't block in the first place, at least if you're good at it. And so minimizing your options and something like that. So here's what I think the first thing that anybody should do. And then you can tell me what you think. And then, whoever, watching, you want to throw your input into a comment box, man, go right ahead. The more the merrier. From a counterbalance perspective, I think if the law allows, you should weaponize your vehicle. Right?
Sure.
In the same manner that you can draw for your seatbelt and unclick it, you should be able to draw for the weapon and stab the encroaching limb. Right?
Yeah. So what kind of weapon were you talking about? If you
straight edge, reverse grip. Yeah. Straight edge, reverse grip, because this motion is repetitive and can be done and still using this hand. Yeah. This stabbing motion is harder than the slicing. I mean, I guess I got you. Look, I'll just tell you, I think it's whatever your preference is. I think without a doubt, there is no question that the straight edge is the faster acquisition tool. Yes? Yeah. And then ask yourself, let's go back to that situation that we were just sitting ourselves in traffic. All of a sudden, boom, we see this guy hit this car. He turns the corner. We turn the other corner and go, holy shit, did you just see that? Next thing this dude runs up to the door, slams it, pulls us open, pops it. Where's your folder? Click, put it open. It's a lot of stress. I think you draw that and you start picking away at that limb that's attacking you. Right? And so in training that, what would be the first place? Positional dynamics. Sit in the chair. Yeah. Right? You sit in the chair. Now the guy can reach in the window. He can crack the window. He can open up the door. Right? But if I'm in drive, if I'm in park, if I'm in, all right, I need to make sure that I hit this guy. I don't want to stand up into him. You want to play with that. But first start from here, then work the draw. And then after a while, we've even done it where guys, I'm going to hit you first. I'm going to put a glove on and I'm going to hit you.
Right.
And then as you go back, you're going to have to cover that.
Right.
He's going to hit you and then pull you out. Right.
Yeah. So again, and let me say, when you get hit, if we train to get hit, when you get hit, your sense is dull, and your options will go down too. So stress and getting hit will make you fuzzy. So you'll go to the one thing you know well. Going back to the point, I'm beating that dead horse, that one option thing.
Yeah, man. If you cover, draw, go, right? Because you are reactive. You just got carjacked. You're not proactive. You're not gonna. If you see that guy, draw.
Yeah.
Lock the door. Put it in gear.
Put your hand. Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, draw that weapon. Let him see it. Kind of thing.
So I just thought of something too. So if you have a concealed carry license, you can conceal carry in your car. But you're right. Wherever you put that, you have to have it concealed in the state of Illinois still. You can't have it open carry in a car, which means it has to be covered, which takes some time and some fine motor skills to uncover, one. Number two, with a firearm, if you train to pull and shoot, you don't know what's behind that guy. And if you're missing, you don't know who you're hitting.
Yeah. So you are at high risk, but I'm going to tell you that I think within that 3 feet, that guy being on top of you, I think it's a good shot.
Sure.
Good shot to take under here.
It's a good shot to take under here. Depends on where so you have to think about where you carry.
Yes.
And
all that has to tie in together.
Where you're carrying on yourself or in the car, and then also when you're shooting, because if he retreats away.
And listen, let me just say, Kirk, just because you have a concealed carry, the chessboard is made up of not just the queen and the king, and there's all these other pieces.
Right.
Just because you have a concealed carry, just because you can kick someone in the head doesn't mean it's the best option. Just because you can pull out a gun doesn't mean it's the best option. So if acquiring that weapon and weapon acquisition and deployment under stress, and you can get that shot off, then you're a person who has taken X amount of hours and invested in that transit category of your life, where I may get road rage, carjacking. Those are the things that happen in transit from home to work to activity to maybe a school, right? Or whatever it is you have going on. That's an area of vulnerability that that person faces. And if you're that person who wants to take and get ahead of that power curve, and you say, you know what, I've seen that happen, I'm going to go to someone and I'm going to take a course, then you would want to make sure that that course made sense with weaponizing your vehicle, and then those countermeasures past that. But you'd want an honest approach.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I was thinking, firearm, but that might not be my first response. I might not want to train that as my first response. I think acquiring a blade.
Yeah, blade is such a great close quarter tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and listen, you have a lot on the line here of this vehicle. And listen, yeah, insurance, all that stuff, but this is the thing here, and I've got my kid, and I've got whatever, right? That should be your self-preservation instinct, is to pick that guy away, right? And he's always, just pick him away. I think this guy's not coming in, and you can do so and still drive off, kind of thing. I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm not trying to teach a technique here. I'm just saying, I think that the emotion of the situation itself, the threat disparities at play, and the fact that you have a weapon will tell you what technique to do.
If you train it.
If you train it. Right? So I think, And so, from Colin's Mountain perspective, that's carjacking is what? The best option you have is to weaponize your vehicle and move forward from there. Now, if you want to roll the arm up and roll the window up and break his arm like some movie thing, or where you break the guy's arm in the door jam and stuff like that. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. Well, we talked before about the carjacking attempt I read about in Brazil during the Olympics. There was there's a lot of traffic during the Olympics in Brazil, Summer Olympics. A lot of traffic, and so there's a lot of traffic jams. And some criminals were riding dirt bikes up and down in between the cars and carjacking, dragging people out, taking the cars, or injuring or killing people, taking their stuff. And they did this. They chose a car, and the criminals busted the window, but it happened to be what sounds like some kind of Russian special ops guy with his family. The guy reached in, he broke his arm, pulled his gun, and pop, 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 and killed the guy. Now, that's all good and well, but that takes a lot of training.
Yeah, and you have to ask yourself, listen, when you ever conceal carry, you have to say to yourself, do I live that life? And we're really big on that at Focus is, train for the life that you live.
Train for the life you live.
If you're not an MMA fighter, what are you doing training MMA for? Mm-hmm. If you're in this for self-protection. If you're in it for the sport, well, then fantastic, great. It's a great thing to do. It's so healthy. It'll keep you, but if you're 30 years old, the chance of you becoming UFC heavyweight champion, or you have a better chance of making this the special teams of a pro football team, I think. So I think context drives content, and that's important.
Say that again. Context drives content.
Yes, context drives content. So your walk in life is going to determine. So carjacking, today's topic, was a great thing because it's something that anybody watching this, that should be on your radar. So when you're in the self-defense class and you're working all these moves, these fancy moves, or I was doing a WorkSafe consultation, doing some consulting, and somebody asked me about active shooter, and I said, man, that's like 0.04% chance of happening in the world of workplace violence. Right. It's such a slim, but it has such a few that people they're so afraid of it, and so
it's hot button right now. Sure.
Yeah. But the likelihood. So train if you're going to save the life you're living.
Save the life you live. Yeah. So that's what, if I have an AR-15, that's all good and well and fun.
Yeah.
It's practical, because I'm not.
But you don't live that life.
Yeah.
Me and my friends say that. I really enjoy training with military guys. There's one specific group I love training with, Dynamis Alliance.
Yes.
Dom Russell's guys.
Yeah.
Dylan, Eli, Dom, great, amazing crew. I would, if you're into that thing, if that's your bend, then I would go there. But those guys, they're top notch. I love training with them, but I don't live that life. I'm not right. I don't carry. I'm an ex-felon. They won't let me carry a gun as of right now today. So, but that being said, I don't live that life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So while I enjoy training in it, that part of my training is activity and fun, and I'm pushing the envelope the other way. I think when people first walk into martial arts schools and learning pak saos and lap saos and different kinds of things, it's not relevant to their life just as much as the sport isn't relevant to their life.
Sure.
Right. And so that's why I enjoy talking about these things like carjacking, because one of the things you don't see in the sport is a different kind of emotion. Like when I was a cage fighter, yeah, you had emotion going in there. You know, into a tournament or something, there was emotion, but there's not the emotion.
Well, there you also know when you're starting. You know,
two guys.
You're at the same weight, basically.
Yes. So there's a different emotion. It's more of it's more of a very nervous excitement. Yes, like getting on a roller coaster or jumping out of a plane, right? But when you're in the street fight and that emotion hits you, it's a totally different thing, right? The idea is to train in a manner that will be equal to or be able to coexist with that frequency of emotion, or else it will fall apart. So you have to either train the technique, add the emotion, or just be a bundling mess all the time.
So in my context, if I drive around, if I go to work, drive to school, whatever, my context means that violence it's not going to be a competition in a car necessarily. That violent content can come with surprise, without my agreement, and fast and hard.
Yeah. Let's say, but if you're a good, let's say
I'm not going to call timeout in the middle of that. Time.
Yeah. That being said, I don't want to underestimate the quality of those guys. If you're a Greco guy or jiu-jitsu guy, your grip,
you have some tools.
It's killer. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. There's no way. Now, if you are lucky enough to get mugged in a manner whereby you could take it to the ground and there's no weapons, and you probably win. Absolutely, there's no doubt. And you hear stories about MMA fighter beats mugger, and you hear about these random stories once in a while. But the reality is, you don't hear lady use self-defense to fend off two guys raping her in a stairwell. Yeah. So that's where martial arts, I think it's failed people, is the lack of context and emotion, honesty, and so forth in people. They're teaching their style, but they're not teaching that person. Right? They're
teaching the style to go against the style, right?
Yeah. Right. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's just a yes and. A little bit of something's better than a whole lot of nothing. You have to know that you have to, right? But superior training is the crux of every ratio of survival. You want a high ratio of survival? What are the best training? Right? Yeah. Best training is everything. Best education is actually training, right? And so we always brag about the best schools. You want to find the best training system that's going to align with your life. And so if you have a place that's teaching only weapons, or only ground fighting, or only sport, then it might not be context for the counter-violence world, because violence is its own style, right? So this guy went through 3 different vehicles hitting people before, and wound up successful. Think about that.
Yeah. And maybe even changed tactics, right? Seems like he was possibly direct violence, and then was threatening, a weapon or something. Who knows? We don't know, but it's a possibility. I mean, they're both different techniques.
Yeah, but I tell you, I think it does change. Before I was on the streets and I got into a street fight, and you take a guy down, you start to wonder, man, this dude pulls, I'm looking for a knife. I'm not worried about the choke as much as I'm looking for the knife now. Right. So it is a thing. It is a thing. Yeah. And you have to be honest about it and say that it's there. Even if you're a sports enthusiast, you have to be honest about it. But if you are a sports enthusiast, you probably went home to your wife. If you have a wife, then this is the kind of information you'd want her to have if someone tried taking her car. Right? You wouldn't want her to know how to escape in an Plata, right? You'd want to know how to weaponize that car and stab that guy.
Absolutely.
True story. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Send your women out of the house with some good stuff, man. Look, no one feels somebody's bad, but the opportunity.
For people who are listening, then, who haven't trained or whatever, like what would your advice be then? We think we've been implicitly given it, right? Training. Here's some things. Here's some tactics. Weaponize your car. Like, what are some steps people can take then? Practically right now, get a weapon that you can use and train it.
Yeah, nerf it. Nerf it, man. Nerf it. Yeah, get a piece of styrofoam. One of those. I don't know. Everybody's got one of those swimming pool thing or something that they can.
Noodles, they're called, Mike.
Yeah, whatever. Right. Nerf it. Nerf it, man. Nerf it. Have fun. Yeah, yeah. Get in the kitchen chair and say, "Honey, grab now. I want you to pull this out, and I want you to nerf it." You could do that at home together. Actually have fun and actually do something more important than taking 4 or 5 months of martial arts training or MMA training.
Yeah, get out in the car and actually try it, right? Get out in the driveway and
yeah, you can, but everything. Look at everything. No matter what you do, is going to be a crawl, walk, run kind of thing.
Yeah.
Every single thing that we will discuss on this format is going to be built around creating a virtual violence experience, which is much like creating a play for somebody. When you're creating a massive Broadway production, you get together, you go over lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know where we're at on stage. We're doing all these things. And then we constantly build it up till after a while, the set is placed in the back. Everything looks. And so instead of people feeling like they've learned moves of self-protection, what we want to do is put people through a counter-violence experience through that virtual violence of creating a play. And that really is a collaboration between the participant and the instructor, right? And so you're going to find out a little bit about that person. If you're a nurse.
The cool thing about training like that is when you're in those contexts, then like if you've trained, if you train what to do if somebody carjacks you, if you've trained it and you actually trained it a lot, you train it under stress, then when you're driving, you don't worry about that.
Right, and then what you do is
it's not worried about it. What would happen? I don't know. I don't know. I just try to.
Now the fun you can have with it is, what if I don't miss him? Now he pulls me out of the car, but I make it so now we're both standing and there was in that little thing. So now you can graduate. Would you drop down, take him down? Will we immobilize him for a minute? Or will I find myself being dragged by this car as a getaway car because I got caught up?
Yeah.
And so whatever your answer is, you've trained it from the positional dynamic of the car and the positional dynamic here, as well as the guy getting in the passenger seat, the guy getting in the back seat. The best hope you have is to crash into another vehicle. So if somebody takes your car and now it's kidnapping, not carjacking, kidnapping, vehicular, and so now I'm taking this car and this guy's saying drive this location, and you have your child in the back seat and she is buckled in as she should be, or he, the best thing you could do is hit a car, preferably a cop car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're more likely to survive that.
Because if he takes you where you cannot, where privacy, a place of privacy, you're screwed. Yeah. Your place on the power curve is diminishing slightly for the stop. Yeah, crash into a car, right? So you want to train it. So what I'm saying is the positional dynamic is going to change based on from this position where they could be a threat to you. Where I'm standing outside of the car and he confronts me. I'm in the car. He tries to pull me out. He's in the car or is forcing me to go somewhere. He made it into the car. Now he's forcing me because he's got a gun. Speed up real fast and then turn into a car. Make sure you got your seatbelt on. Yeah,
well, we'll talk about kidnapping and stuff like that in another podcast.
Yeah.
That'll be a great topic. Okay, so anything else to wrap up, Michael? I think that's really, really good. I think it's a great context. Everybody has it. Very practical.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the thing that we can do, I just want to say really quickly, and I'll probably bring this up a lot. Martial arts or self-protection or whatever for about 1,500 years has done a great job excluding itself.
What do you mean by that?
And what I mean by is when I was a kid growing up, it was like, ooh, you got to go to the Shaolin Temple, brah. That's where all the, and I remember like wanting to save money to go to Japan and study under Morihei Ueshiba or some Aikido or whoever, some folklore. It was a thing. And as it got further, it became, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee-ish, and then, so there was always this thing. Now it's the alpha male athlete of the MMA world, or alpha female, right?
Yep.
Even better. Or military specialist.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So both of those are so intimidating, right? If I was a regular person, I'd be like, we're screwed. Hope and prayer, let's move to the best neighborhood we know. And hope becomes a game plan. I hope that moving to the area did it. What all it really did was make you a softer target. So, that's the reality of what we're going to be talking about is building regular people, building hard targets out of regular people. And that doesn't mean that you have to be some kind of bad guy, mean person, or rah, rah. No, it just means I want to save the life of my family. What's wrong with that, right? Why do I have to be this big? You know, I don't. And that's what people need to know, that, and that's really why we're here. We talk about those real problems, that there are real solutions to them. You don't have to be a movie star. You don't have to be a Navy SEAL. You don't have to be an MMA fighter to save.
You don't have to be a Russian operative in Brazil or anything like that.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's my, you know, that alter ego or some kind of operative.
Yeah, that's all great and fun. And it's all,
right?
yeah. I watch different things. I watch shooting videos, you know, people like Dom Rosso shooting and
man, those guys are amazing.
Stuff there. It's amazing. I can't shoot like that.
And it's so fun to play with those guys.
It's amazing and it's fun.
Guys, man. They're such nice guys.
I'm never ever going to be even close to that level. I don't have the time. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the train.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be able to play with them. But you're right, definitely. I mean, if I was that guy, I'd be flying out there. If I was that guy, I definitely.
But can I do something? And can I learn in some way to use the firearm as a tool? Yeah, I sure can.
Yeah, I think the secret is for people to know that you don't have to be Dom Rosso.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a Navy SEAL, right? You don't have to be someone they're going to make a movie after someday. You can just be you. There's a story that Lee Morrison tells, my friend Lee Morrison, about a cat. I'm going to tell this before we get out of here. He says, and I want the regular person who's watching this to think about this, is it at least telling this other guy, this guy's complaining about, oh, well, that really wouldn't work for her because with so-and-so. And so Lee says, take the kitten, brand new kitten, just a baby, and hold it. Right? No more than 8 weeks old, hold it. Now I want you to take an ice cold glass of water and pour it on that cat while you hold it. Watch what happens. Yeah. See, you don't have to be the instructor. She doesn't have to be you. She just has to be the cat.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody is always stops. And this very thing that tears families apart, the things that drives people not to leave their homes is a solvable problem. Right? And I can tell you as a former criminal, I looked for victims who are unsure and don't know. Yeah. Right. So
you're not looking for somebody who does this, right? With a knife. You go into a car and somebody does this.
Yeah. Yeah. The minute you back up, that's maybe why that guy had to go to 3 different cars, because maybe he knocked one guy out, but somebody stood up against that. And you're not going to hear that story.
Right.
What did she do to survive? Why did he have to go to 3 cars? You won't hear that story. But it could be you. Yeah. Could be me. Could be my daughter. Those are the things that we go, man, I don't want to deal with this, but you know what? I want to make it so, yeah, let's nerf it, man. Let's have fun. Yeah. Let's not worry about belts, foreign vernacular, or anything else, man. How about we just train to save our lives and have fun doing it? Now, don't get me wrong. If 3 black belt or a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a Kali master, and a Greco-Roman wrestler show up to your house with a sharpshooter, and you might be in trouble. But because violence doesn't have black belts, it's not going to pull you in a guard. Violence doesn't parry. Violence doesn't know Wing Chun. Violence has its own style. And so because of that, it's not going to be difficult.
Right. Dom Rosso is not breaking into my house to steal my TV and kill me. Right.
Now, does that mean it's not a threat? No, it's just a different kind of threat.
It's a different kind. It's an untrained one, yeah.
Yep. I've seen guys with 0 training in martial arts beat martial arts guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they got 0 training, but they got a long list of hours of experience of actual just banging.
Willingness to get hit and to give, right? That goes a long way.
Yeah, being willing to not care if I get hit. So that's why people don't block PS. Yep.
I want to say one more thing. This incident that we talked about, it's a real one, and it happened in a very small town. That's a very quiet, small town. So if you live in a small town, a small area that's safe, you know, it can happen anywhere. The stories we tell throughout the weeks will bear that out. They're going to come from lots of different places, lots of different contexts, and because we're not going to dig stories out necessarily from, you know, the rough and tumble areas. We're going to find them from every day where we live. People
and the good thing about rough and tumble areas is people expect that stuff to happen. So they're generally survival. In a survival sense, you are bred or you develop a certain amount of expectation for it to happen, so you're almost desensitized to it.
You're a little immune to that.
Good neighborhoods, people who aren't desensitized to that have a very slow and poor reaction time.
Yep.
Yeah, but so there is a benefit to it, but it's a curse without a doubt. So yeah, everyday neighborhoods, man. That's what we're going to be talking about. Thanks, guys, for watching. Yeah, if you have any questions, put them down there, and hopefully we will come across a topic that meaningful to you.
Yeah.
We have stories from all over, so just tune in next time. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
See you, Kirk.